Hey everyone, we're going to do a little more in-depth review on the Traeger Ironwood XL today. This is kind of a real-world review. I've had this for a couple months now. Generally loved it. It's been pretty great. I bought it with the intentions of using it primarily as a smoker. I don't really sear meats on pellet grills. I use the griddle for that. So I won't be able to speak to that. As far as packaging and assembly was on this, it was packed super tight, and assembly was pretty easy. They have a QR code that loads a video to your phone, and that handled every step, every bolt. It was actually pretty amazing. I think Traeger did a really good job on that. I think it took me about an hour to put it together, and I wasn't moving along in any kind of rush, so you could probably go faster if you needed to. Yeah, so moving on to the controller. Of course, it's got the new fancy touchscreen controller. The touchscreen, yeah, it's pretty cool. I personally would be okay if it was um, not a touchscreen and you could just use the knob. I tend to just use the knob anyway. I kind of wonder how it'll do in the winter when it's cold, and just how long it'll last. Hopefully not a problem, but it's super easy to use. You can see we've got a wired probe in there. It connects to old, I say old because I had a meter probe block before Traeger acquired meter, and even those will connect to the controller, which I absolutely love. I use those probes a lot more now that I don't have to stash the meter block outside right next to the grill for them to stay connected. So that's pretty cool. You cannot see in the Traeger app, you cannot see the ambient temp from the meter probe, so just a heads up on that. I didn't tend to use that a whole heck of a lot anyway, but if you do want to see it, you can still connect it to your meter block as well and use the meter app to see that info. Moving on to the Cleanout System. I'm sure you've all have seen, they use the ash keg bucket now. I really like that. I wasn't sure how I would like it, but I've found that I have to shop vac this thing way less than like the old Texas Elite there. The fan blows most of the ash into that keg, and of course the grease strips down in there too. I occasionally pull everything apart, and honestly I can just kind of sweep it into the ash keg. So Traeger still says you do need to vacuum once in a while, but in my opinion it's far less than what you had to before. The fire pot, never, I haven't seen any of those kind of ash clumps that you'd get in the old style fire pots at all on this. So I'm really excited about that. You can't put foil liners in here anymore. I was a little worried how I would handle that, but honestly it's fine. I got myself just like a plastic putty knife, and that works great just to scrape it down into the ash keg. Oh, excuse me, it's like Flymageddon out here. A couple bummer things. I wish there was a cord wrap back here just when it's not in use. There's not, although you can actually pull this plug out. And you do see there's another plug, which I assume on Timberlines is used for the sear station. P.S. Really hoping Traeger will let us buy one for this. So I mentioned earlier that it was well packaged. It was. Somehow mine managed to still get a dent and a slight scratch. You can see it right there. I called Traeger about this, and they were more than willing to send another grill. I decided I didn't want to mess with that. Hopefully that was a good decision, but just throwing kudos to Traeger that they were very willing to take care of me on that. The pellet sensor, so this does have a pellet sensor, of course, and I love that feature. This is my first pellet grill with one. I do find that sometimes, I think it's good that it's in the center for a more accurate reading, but I have found sometimes that when I'm dumping pellets in, they'll bounce off the top and go everywhere. So just be mindful of that. Front shelf, I love it. I wish it were included. I get why it's not. Some people might not want it there, but the shelf itself is great, very sturdy. Of course, there is a lot of shelf space on the left here, which I also love. Again, I'm hoping someday we'll be able to buy the burner separate. I would definitely be all in for that. And then of course you have the hopper that you can store little stuff on. I do like that they actually give you the bottom shelf now. Remember, the Traegers of old, you'd have to buy that on a lot of the models. So that's pretty neat. Another what I call bummer thing is the hopper size. It holds 22 pounds, which I know that's pretty average out there. And it's fine, it does well. You can do an overnight cook, no problem on that. I am finding that this uses a little more pellets than the older models. And I'll be honest, I'm actually okay with that because this thing puts out a lot more smoke than the older models. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool to see a 30-pound hopper or something. I get it. You'd have to redesign it and things like that. So, I mean, I'm not losing sleep over this, but if it could be bigger, I'd be down for that. And the only last thing I'll call out as far as what I'd consider kind of a negative is the warranty. Now, they advertise a 10-year warranty, which, yes, that's true on the body, that it won't rust out. But if you look, you got to look in the manual in detail. Different parts are warranted at different intervals. So I suppose it's kind of like a car where you'll have rust through protection on a car for 80 to 100,000 miles. Kind of the same deal here. They're warranting the body for that long, but the controller, the fan, the igniter, those all have different spans. I can't remember exactly. Some are 1 year, some are 3, and I think there's a few items that are up to a 5-year warranty. So now on to the cool things. Just jumping straight to it, I love how much smoke this thing puts out. It is, of course you can't see it in this light, it is actually smoking right now. And I find that it is always smoking. Like this old Texas Elite under here, that kind of operated under the, you'd get some smoke for a couple minutes and then no smoke for several minutes and then back on and off. This is smoking all the time. And it's amazing. I can taste the difference on this. For me personally, food off of this is the smokiest that I've come across off a pellet grill. Now, mind you, I haven't had any food off of a Lone Star Grill's pellet grill, because I would kind of imagine they're probably at the top for that. But food off of this is the closest to like a traditional smoker that I have tasted. I don't honestly even use super smoke much on this just because of how much it smokes. And to take that a step further, even when you set the temp at 275, it's still smoking quite a bit. So I absolutely love that. Of course, I love the integration with the app. I think it does well. I think they've really polished that app up. As far as temp control, it does pretty well. This does fluctuate. I mean, I've seen it fluctuate plus and minus 10 or so. I personally don't really lose any sleep over that. I think it's fine. And if that's what gives me more smoke, then I'm down. All right, the room inside, we've got a brisket that's been on for 14 hours so far. Room is good. Of course, the little side light is kind of handy. I like how they've put it on the outside so it doesn't just get caked in crud inside. What else? Like I said, clean out is super easy on this. One thing I will call out on the Cleanout system. So I'm sure you've seen videos on what these look like disassembled. So the ash blows into the keg, and then of course the grease drips down into that. I've had twice now where I've had the grill up to 350 degrees, and this is just a best guess on my part. I think probably a smoldering bit of ash has made it into the keg, and then it just sits in there and smolders. The first time I discovered this, like, the grill had been off for hours, and I came out and I could smell it. It's not a great smell. And sure enough, when I opened the lid, smoke was coming out of the drain spot. Pulled the keg out, and yeah, it was hot and just a slow sliver of smoke coming up. So just be mindful of that if you cook at higher temps, that could happen. I've never had any kind of issue when I'm just smoking meat, so that's cool. I'll turn on smoke output while we're talking here. Or smoke output, super smoke. And gotta say yes. Okay, anyway, so overall, I am super thrilled with this. I've been really happy. This is actually the first pellet grill I've ever bought new. I'd always just bought off of Marketplace and stuff like that. I'm happy with the money I've spent on this. Of course, would always love for it to be cheaper, but as long as this lasts for years, I think we've got a good one here. Let me know your thoughts if you've had one. If you're thinking about it, I really don't have any complaints. Yes, I listed off a few things, but nothing of that has stopped me from really enjoying this. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.